because we believe that the best way to care for seniors is not by, just having a hammer and thinking everyone's a nail, but really having an array of services so that people can be in independent living or assisted living or long-term care or stay in their homes, or be in affordable housing or market rate housing, depending on what their situation is. So we have 2,600 employees, and we care for older adults in a vast array of different ways.
Welcome to the Owner's Journal. Good morning. We are here today with Lou Woolf, President and CEO of Hebrew Senior Life, an 8-site integrated healthcare system, or IDS, based in Boston. Lou has a fascinating career transition story as he started out as a product executive in the CPG industry. We'll get into that a little bit, but companies like Gillette, Parker Brothers. But why don't we start out just getting to know a little bit about Lou Woolf and what you're doing now, a little bit about Hebrew Senior Life, Lou, and take it from there.
Sure. Great to be with you, Kurt. So my name is Lou Woolf. I'm the President and CEO of Hebrew Senior Life. I came to Hebrew Senior Life in 2009, so I've been here for 15 years now. Hebrew Senior Life is a nonprofit senior care organization that is an affiliate of Harvard Medical School. We are, as Kurt said, an 8-site organization, probably the organization in the senior care industry that is the broadest as far as the array of services we offer, because we believe that the best way to care for seniors is not by, just having a hammer and thinking everyone's a nail, but really having an array of services so that people can be in independent living or assisted living or long-term care or stay in their homes, or be in affordable housing or market rate housing, depending on what their situation is. So we have 2,600 employees, and we care for older adults in a vast array of different ways.
Fantastic. And I get the sense you focus on the whole person, the whole body, and the whole approach of one size does not fit all, right? Especially for any human being, but especially for senior citizens, sort of at that stage of life where things get very, it's very sensitive. Your healthcare is very sensitive the older you get. I feel it already. I'm in my mid to late 40s, and have worked in healthcare as well. But tell us, I'm fascinated by this career transition. I kind of want to start there. You have an interesting background where out of college, you started out as a product executive for CPG companies like Gillette and Parker Brothers, and then transferred that knowledge early on to physician practices and helping build physician practices, and taking some of those insights you learned from product. I'm interested to learn how hard was that, first of all? What was the hardest part of taking product knowledge and transferring that into people?
Right. So as you said, so in college, I first took a course in consumer behavior, and as an economics major, and was fascinated at the whole concept of understanding how consumers view things, how they make choices, how they determine their needs and wants, and evolved into a career for the first 7 years at Gillette and Parker Brothers, which was a subsidiary of General Mills at the time. So very classic consumer packaged goods, and really being schooled in looking at the world through the eyes of consumers. And even if you understand more than anybody about the attributes of your product and all, understanding that the way the product is viewed by consumers is quite different, because they all have a variety of different needs. So, as I went through a marketing education in the late 70s, early 80s, marketing was changing from selling things, focusing on the product attributes, to fulfilling needs and really understanding consumer needs and creating products and telling a story that they would see would fulfill a need that they had that was being otherwise unfulfilled. So I deeply got into that. And as I evolved in my career, I was more and more attracted to unfulfilled needs that were more important than shaving and shampoo and even children's books and music, which was my Parker Brothers job. So that kind of resonated with me at the time because I had small children. So as time went on, I got very, very excited about the idea of getting into healthcare. In the mid 80s, healthcare was changing quite a bit. Payment structures were changing. A lot of the people that were managing in healthcare were not people who were as sophisticated from a business perspective. And I saw an opportunity to get into healthcare and really work at fulfilling more and more important needs than I was previously, and doing so with a classic business background that would improve the ability of institutions to, in fact, carry out their missions and fulfill those needs. Um, so I went to New England Baptist Hospital, and that was an orthopedic specialty hospital. I then, after 8 years, evolved to a community hospital, North Shore Medical Center, which was part of the Partners system, still part of what's now Mass General Brigham, as more important needs, because you had underserved populations and things like maternity and psychiatry, where those needs were more unfulfilled for a lot of people than elective orthopedic surgery, which people could access in a lot of different places. And then 15 years ago, I got this opportunity to come into this organization, which not only has the services I described, but we also do about $100 million of research, National Institute of Health and National Institute of Aging, and we teach a lot of people. So I would say one of the biggest challenges I had was, as you move from consumer packaged goods, which was an industry that had accepted the fact that we're fulfilling consumer needs, not just making products, and all the engineers at Gillette understood that. When you get into healthcare and you're working with physicians and you're working with nurses even, getting them to shift their mindset from they are the star, they are offering services. If I could be a little pejorative, people are fortunate that they're getting the service, so they can just listen and don't ask so many questions and stop going to the internet and learning things that aren't really true, and just let me do my job. Getting them to understand that philosophy of fulfilling needs and listening to people and really understanding what consumers are going through and what their specific situation is a learning opportunity for people in the medical field.
So you had to take some of that attitude of the doctor walking in the door and saying, "Thank God I'm here," to the doctor walking in the door and saying, "How can I help you today? Like, what's bothering you today? What's really bothering you today?"
Particularly, if I could say, with a Harvard Medical School teaching hospitals, where the people who are in those physician roles are people at the top of their field and have a good dose of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, it's a stressful job too. A lot of these physicians, just to defend them for a minute, because it used to be my career, was defending physicians when I worked in healthcare. But they go through a lot of school. They go through a lot of training. They incur a lot of debt. They have a lot of financial stress. They have a lot of family stress at home. If they're married, their spouse thinks they're married to the hospital and not them. So it's one thing is to say, don't take that into the patient's office with you, right? But it's another thing to say, just ignore all that and focus on the patient at all costs. But that's kind of what they're there to do, right? I mean, the Hippocratic Oath is first do no harm. So you walk in the door and you create stress for a patient that's already sick. It's counterproductive.
Totally. And one of the most challenging experiences I had was when I was at North Shore Medical Center, and we introduced a palliative care service, which is a service which is offering people an opportunity to think about their future, think about whether they want more care to fix their problem, or whether they want to have just comfort care and maybe elect a hospice benefit. And we had introducing the palliative care service in the ICU, where you have ICU intensivists they are intensivists and they work in the ICU because they They want to save lives. They are here. That's how they're wired. And to have them early on accept the fact that there may be some people who should elect comfort care
Right.
is looking at it through the eyes of the patient as opposed to the eyes of the intensivist. And that was probably the biggest kind of medical challenge I ever had as far as a physician and their services they were offering.
I have the chills now because I remember these conversations because I would work with intensivists a lot and manage their call schedules. And I know they walk in, they go, I want to save everyone's life. I want to make sure that that person lives forever. Right. And then you meet with their families or you meet with the person that's in the ICU for the third or fourth time and go, well, yeah, we're going to run this tube down here. We're going to do an endoscopy, a colonoscopy. It's going to be very uncomfortable. We're going to save your life tonight. You know, there's that conversation of, all right, well, what does the patient want? Okay, they need this to save their life, right? The need versus want thing. But what do they want for the last few years or a few days of their life with their family? And that's the key. And I think that's probably one of the keys to your business as CEO of this senior life company, to convey that and to make that the pervasive way of treating people at your IDS.
No, that's absolutely true. And when you articulate it as what people want, usually at the beginning, what they want is the same thing the intensivist wants.
Right.
But there needs to be a grown-up in the room that recognizes what we all want isn't necessarily realistic and isn't necessarily what's best for you, and what in retrospect later on you will see you should have wanted. So it's a dance, and it's ultimately in that situation we kind of took the decision out of the hands of the intensivist, and we instituted a mandatory palliative care visit for anybody who had been in the ICU for more than 3 days. So it really introduced something that was very helpful, where the intensivist didn't need to acknowledge defeat, if you will, in their mind. And it was a big help. But that was those are the kinds of things when you're in healthcare and you're looking at it through the consumer's eyes. It's an example of the kind of challenge you can face. Which
and I hope I didn't sound insensitive the way that I put that.
No.
It was meant to be everybody wants to live, right? But it's a quality of life question, I guess.
Quality of life issue, and
palliative care and hospice involved. It's a quality of life,
right?
Customer need first, and you have to have that hard conversation of, ideally, what would you like to see happen here? Yeah. So, thank you for sharing that. It was very, very insightful, very helpful. What's exciting going on right now? Just a hard transition, right? What's exciting going on right now at Hebrews in your life? What are you looking forward to building, as this is kind of your second stint, right? Tell us a little bit about this as CEO of this company. Is there a transition that you're looking to make, another big transition you're looking to make, or a recruit looking for right now?
Well, personally, I had retired a year ago, and my replacement didn't quite work out. So we are in the midst of looking for a new successor. But this is an organization that I'm extremely proud of and love the mission, love the people I work with. And so, I'm fine being back for a while. I would say organizationally, when you look at what we're doing, that's particularly exciting. It will resonate with everybody listening to this, that we live in a country where more and more people are getting older. More and more people are suffering from cognitive decline. And that's not actually just because they're getting older, but more and more people are suffering from cognitive decline, different forms of dementia at any age level, because of, we believe, high-fat diets and a lot of the same things that are leading to obesity and diabetes and things. And we, at the same time, have a population which increasingly can't afford to care for themselves as they get older. So our country is faced with a growing population of people that need to be cared for, growing needs by those people, and a growing inability to pay for themselves. So it's putting a huge stress on not only Medicare, but Medicaid, who cares for people as they get older and pays for nursing homes and things. In the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I think when I came to Hebrews Senior Life, Mass Health was maybe 28% of the state budget, and now it's well over 40%. And you think about the other 50 odd percent, and it's fire and police and schools and highways and so many things, which so we can't allow Mass Health to keep eating the state budget. So one of the things that we have been focusing on for the last 5 or 6 years, which we're making huge progress, is assisting older people who are low income and who have needs to live longer in affordable congregate housing with services, which is a much less expensive to provide than nursing homes and is a higher quality of life. Uh, and we're doing that through a real focus on building more supportive, affordable housing in the Commonwealth,
Oh,
mostly
wow.
in Eastern Massachusetts, as well as providing services in other people's congregate housing in order to enrich the services that are offered so people can stay in those other affordable housing communities longer. And we're even rolling those services out nationally to other organizations in other states. So more and more people should be able to stay in affordable housing longer and have a better life in an apartment with other people with services. And the cost to the federal government and the different state governments to support people in affordable housing is a tenth of what it is for people to be in nursing homes. So it's a very exciting path we're on to really enrich people's lives and help the federal and state governments be able to afford to care for those people and still support fire departments and police departments and fix highways.
So that's fascinating. That's what a great mission that is to, I mean, we're talking about the lower level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs right now, like housing, food, housing, shelter, and you don't have that, you can't move on to the next level. You can't be happy, right? And if you have financial struggle and uncertainty about where you're going to live and function, that's a very hope sapping environment. So you're really doing, I think, with God's work and what
No.
you're doing there. The financial navigation piece of it, I thought that's where you're going to go with that, and I'm not sure if that's part of the services you provide, but are there any kind of financial navigators that help seniors that are with dementia or that maybe don't have family members that can help them figure this money piece out and the housing piece out?
Yeah, there are, that's a great question, Kirk, because I get a lot of people calling me who are looking for advice. They have family members who need support. They know somebody who says Lou Woolf's the CEO of Heber Senior Life. You should call him. But people who really don't know where to turn, don't know how to figure this stuff out. Family members of mine, and there's a profession which they up until recently were called geriatric care managers, and now they're called life care managers.
Yeah.
And mostly they are females.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be sexist here, because mostly they are females, and oftentimes they themselves refer to themselves as professional daughters.
Oh, interesting.
And they are people who understand, they tend to be geographically located, and they understand the services that are around. But they also understand the financial systems, the Medicare system, the Medicaid system, Mass Health in Massachusetts, and they understand what people have the rights to and how to go about it. So they are extraordinary navigators for people as far as the cost of care, how to finance it, how to get assistance, where the best place is for them to go based on their needs, their location, where their kids live. And then elder care lawyers are also a great resource as far as helping to figure out, when can I go on Mass Health or Medicaid? How can I manage my resources properly so that if I have a spouse, if I go into a nursing home, my spouse isn't going to get bankrupt. And so there is a lot of advice out there in those two categories, life care managers and elder care lawyers, that people aren't that aware of and really provide a tremendous amount of assistance. We don't provide that because we feel as though we offer the services, so we don't want to be perceived as self-referring.
Yeah, referring. Yeah.
we try to let other people give the advice, and
It's a good resource to turn folks to, though, without bias, right? Just to say these lawyers are available, or these navigators are available. Whatever they get paid, in my opinion, is not enough. Like it should be a high paying position to do that, what they're doing. Um, because I would think that's, the outcome for the patient, or for the senior citizen, is astronomical value.
it is, and sometimes it can be episodic. You can spend 2 hours with one of these people,
Mm.
a lot, and then carry on. And then there are other people who enlist them ongoing because the kids live in, Phoenix, and mom wants to stay in Massachusetts. So they actually do become a professional daughter, and they'll drive them to appointments and do all kinds of things. And it's a great service.
Fantastic. Well, let's talk a little bit now. I think we have a few minutes left. I want to talk about leadership for a minute, because you're, almost half your career in leadership now, most of your career in leadership. You've seen some changes in the economy. You've seen a lot of change, right? You've seen some changes in the way that care is delivered. The next CEO, let's say, of Hebrew Senior Life, what would be the advice you would give that person about how to be the head of an operation like this? Some golden nuggets that we could glean from that maybe we share with our listeners.
So to me, throughout my career, and particularly in an organization like this, where it is an integrated delivery system, as you said, we have multiple locations, and each one of our locations is really very unique, because these are not McDonald's, where every one of them, you can go into a McDonald's, you can go into a Burger King, you
Two
can be
pickles.
pretty much assured it's the same thing, and you can
Yep.
depend upon everything. Our locations are people's homes.
Mm.
The people that live at Newbridge and Dedham, and the people live at Orchard Cove and Canton, the people that live in like the affordable community, the Jack Satter House in Revere, they are very, very different populations. And we try very hard to have each one of our communities reflect the personality that the residents want it to reflect, because it's their home. However, we are an organization, just like others, in a challenging economic environment in healthcare. Medicare can't pay us as much as we'd like to, as much as they'd like to. Mass Health can't either. So we need to be as cost effective as possible, while at the same time being very resident focused, patient focused, whatever service we're offering. So we have this challenge of deciding, what is it that we can centralize as far as what we do, where we really do, like, HR benefits, where everybody has the same because we're one corporation. What things can we do where we standardize, where everybody's carrying it out individually, but they're all doing it in a similar way? And that would, like a lot of the culture beliefs we have about respect and trust and the goals we set organizationally, there are certain things that we want people to fully understand. And so there's centralized, standardized, and then there's other things that we personalize, where each community is different, and we want to reflect that and not have them feel like they're living in an institution that's a cookie cutter. So one of the things that I have focused a tremendous amount of my career on is the concept of creating a culture in an organization where people they understand what our mission is. They understand what our goals are every year, working together to understand and to establish goals that everybody understands. And everybody understands their role in achieving those goals. And they feel the respect and the autonomy to work in their way to achieve goals that we've all set together. So an example of that, let's say in a given year, we have goals around quality of care, patient and resident satisfaction, growth as an organization, and financial viability. So one could say, as a housekeeper Well, those are great for organizational goals, but I'm just cleaning rooms. And we want the people who are cleaning the rooms to understand that how well they clean that room leads to higher quality care, fewer infections. When they're cleaning rooms, how they interact with the patient, how they check in on them leads a lot to patient satisfaction. How they treat that patient in the room or the resident in their apartment leads to word of mouth, which helps our growth. And if they're cleaning rooms during changeovers, like somebody gets discharged and then somebody else moves in, like into a room 3 hours later in one of our healthcare spaces, how quickly they clean that room leads to faster turnover and helps our profitability. And how they use our supplies leads to greater cost effectiveness. So everybody really needs to understand, that they're part of a team, that we're all rowing in the same direction. Everybody plays an important role, and that everybody has a voice. If you're doing things and you feel there's a way to do it better, let us know. And we do a lot of work with our employees of professional development, and we're very big on respect for our employees. So I think oftentimes when a new CEO comes in or a new leader in any way comes in, a lot of times they want to put their own stamp on, and they will um, start to act sooner than they should. So, my advice is to recognize that we have a culture here where people are incredibly empowered. We've had 10 people over the last 12 years who have celebrated their 50th anniversary working for us. I mean, people are really committed. People's children come to work for us. Their spouses come to work for us. It's an amazing culture. And to feed that culture and not squash it by coming in too heavy-handedly, and to recognize that that's the way this organization runs is critical.
What you just described that's high level CEO. That is the ultimate goal of all the best transformational CEOs, is to give that feeling to their every one of the employees of a company that they have impact and influence over the results of the business. And in your case, it's taking care of people, right? Which couldn't have a more important mission, right? It's mission driven. So I agree with that 100%. If you've been able to achieve that feeling where employees are there for 50 years, you don't have to worry about turnover, because they feel so fulfilled with the idea that they're autonomous, they have impact, they have influence over their surroundings and the people that they care for. That's more important than I think any other job a CEO can do.
Particularly in an organization where the people that work for you are your product. We're not in the back room making widgets and selling them on the top shelf in a Stop and Shop. We are our PCAs, our nurses. They are the product. They are the people that our residents, our patients interact with. So if you don't have, I just spoke to somebody last night who works in a different senior living organization, and he was talking about how his sense is the people that work there aren't respected, and as a result, they don't treat the residents and patients as nicely as they should, because it's like you get treated poorly at work and you go home and kick the dog. I mean, so we realize that the staff is our product, and we tell them that all the time, and do a lot around professional development.
I'm going to give a shout out. I know it's not your current company, but it is one that you had massive impact on, worked at for, I think, almost a decade, which is probably one of the best joint replacement hospitals in the world, if not the best. And I know this from personal experience, because I've had several family members get care there, and I'm the one that they're calling when they come out of the surgery, right? So New England Baptist Hospital, the feeling that I got, and I'm using the word feeling a lot today, it feels like, was that the number one priority to the surgeons there, to the office manager, to the nurse, to the anesthesiologist, the nurse anesthetist, was making sure that the patient had a good outcome, was comfortable along the process, was moved along in an orderly manner. They were fully aware of everything that was about to happen that was going to happen afterwards and going to happen during surgery. So, I guess
Yep.
I don't know if there's a question in here somewhere, but I feel like somehow you may have had an impact on that organization before you left and brought some of the lessons you learned from New England Baptist to Hebrew Senior Life.
I totally agree with you. I went to the Baptist in 1995, and there was a desire to turn the Baptist hospital into an orthopedic center of excellence. At the time, it was about a third orthopedics. They felt like they were doing a very good job at it. Located on Mission Hill, weren't sure about the future of the hospital as a full service hospital. So, and I was a marketing person, so that's how I got into healthcare, actually going there as the vice president of business development to create what was then called the New England Baptist Bone and Joint Institute. And I would say two things about that. So one is we did exactly what you said. It was so focused on the patient experience. We started something called hip school, knee school, and spine school, where anytime somebody was going in for elective surgery, for about a year, we had half the people going in for one of those surgeries go through school before surgery, and a half not go through school. And school meant that you came for a full day with somebody, your husband, your wife, your best friend, somebody who's going to be close to you during your surgical procedure and your recovery, and would go through everything that was going to happen from the minute you walked into the hospital until 6 weeks out.
Great idea.
Crutches and everything. So you really knew exactly what was going to happen. And after a year, after a lot of research, outcomes were better, satisfaction was better, rehospitalizations were less. An informed patient and family member was huge.
Nothing worse than a surprise in medicine, right? In healthcare.
But
Guess
just
what?
the
This is gonna happen.
anxiety of not knowing what's
Right.
coming next.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that there was a mantra at the Baptist, which I have carried forward, which I think I mentioned to you previously, was that we hired for character and trained for competence. And there's actually somebody down the hall right now who we hired 10 years ago to be the executive director of the Simon C. Fireman community in Randolph. And she had zero experience with older people. She had worked with children in one aspect of her career and had never worked with older adults. But she had every ounce of character that we wanted in this person, and she's been a huge success here. And I had people, when we first hired her, people came into my office like, what do you guys think? She's like, this person's got no experience at all. Has got no idea how to deal with older people. And it was like, you can teach that. You can't teach character. It's like in basketball, you can't teach height.
Hire for character, train for confidence or skill. Yeah, I love that. The two C's.
Hire for
Confidence and
character, train for competence.
Let's leave it at that, and let's do this again, Lou. I could talk to you for hours about all of your experiences and the parallels I draw with my experiences in healthcare. But I think the listeners got a really good sense of who you are and the impact you've had on Hebrew Senior Life and the direction that your organization is going. So thank you for your time.
My pleasure, Kurt. Anytime.